Sesame Street.
Sesame Street premiered in 1969 and continues to be one of today's most beloved educational TV programs. The show was the first of its kind, and it never shied away from helping children understand and process complex topics, stuff like divorce, grief, and homelessness. But when Margaret Hamilton guest starred as the Wicked Witch of the West in 1976, the episode was so terrifying that it was taken off the air permanently. So what exactly happened on that banned Sesame Street episode? Why was the episode removed from syndication? I'm Nostalgic Nick, and today's episode of Do You Remember is brought to you by the letters D, Y, and R. We're about to tell you how to get to Sesame Street once and for all. Does Sesame Street give kids ADHD? Sesame Street was the first children's TV show that included an instructional curriculum, and its educational effectiveness was constantly studied and evaluated. Children's Television Workshop, now known as Sesame Workshop, pioneered the CTW model as a collaboration between producers, writers, educators, and researchers. The show's content would also be changed and updated to reflect current events and cultural changes. There was often unexpected pushback from certain changes, such as putting Cookie Monster on a healthier diet, and introducing Julia, a character on the autism spectrum. In 2004, a pediatric researcher named Dimitri Christakis even suggested that Sesame Street was to blame for the increasing prevalence of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in today's youth. But 3 generations of children and counting, says Count Von Count, have grown up watching Sesame Street. And we all turned out just fine. Oh, look, a kitty! What was the most controversial episode of Sesame Street? A 2015 article on TheWeek.com referred to Sesame Street's first few years as the racy years. When classic episodes were released on DVD in 2007, they included the following warning.
These early Sesame Street episodes are intended for grown-ups and may not suit the needs of today's preschool child.
Before Grover even had a name, he was palling around with hippies, and Cookie Monster wore a smoking jacket. He held a pipe while he hosted Monster Piece Theater. In one segment, Ernie encounters a shady character who offers to sell him an 8. And Ernie mistakenly believes it will be enough to last him the whole weekend. Rookie move. Watch Mojo considers Farewell Mr. Hooper Sesame Street's most controversial episode. When Will Lee passed away in 1982, the producers decided to make it part of the show instead of just recasting the role or explaining why Mr. Hooper moved away. The episode aired on Thanksgiving 1983, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house as children learned a powerful lesson and shared Big Bird's grief. Producers were very nervous about subjecting young audiences to such mature subject matter, but the Daytime Emmys selected the landmark episode as one of the 10 most influential moments in daytime TV. Insider.com believes Bert and Ernie's ambiguous relationship is the most controversial aspect of Sesame Street. And Sesame Workshop even responded to the rumors in 1993 by releasing this statement. Bert and Ernie do not portray a gay couple, and there are no plans for them to do so in the future. But the rumors persisted, and ABC even issued a cease and desist order against the director of Ernest and Bertram, a mockumentary that premiered at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival. It's about 2 male puppets who become heated lovers. In 2018, a former Sesame Street writer, Mark Saltzman, confirmed that Bert and Ernie were a gay couple. When an interviewer from the blog Queerty asked if the characters were based on his own relationship, Saltzman responded, "Yeah, because how else? That's what I had in my life, a Bert and Ernie relationship. How could it not permeate?" What episode of Sesame Street was banned? Judy Garland said she found it difficult to be afraid of Margaret Hamilton while filming The Wizard of Oz because she was such a nice lady.
I don't get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
The iconic role also cast a huge shadow on the rest of Hamilton's career, and children ran away when they encountered her in real life. She even appeared on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in 1975 to explain she was just an actress and the witch was a make-believe character. But she also embraced the role that made her famous, and the Wicked Witch of the West was in fine form in 1976, introducing Kiss on the Paul Lynde Halloween special.
This is Ace, this is Jean, this is Peter, and this is Paul.
Oh, I love a good religious group.
And we have a great Paul Lynde deep dive if you want to learn more about that hilarious and complicated actor. Margaret Hamilton's appearance on Sesame Street was intended to teach kids the importance of facing their fears and asking for things nicely. But once the show aired, Sesame Workshop received a flood of letters from young viewers and parents begging them to take the episode down. What happened on episode number 847?
Now I'll go into the store and see if I can get my broom.
The Wicked Witch of the West loses her broom while flying over the neighborhood, and David catches it while walking out of Hooper's store. The witch suddenly emerges from around the corner and demands to have it back, and David refuses until she asks nicely. She gets angry and disappears in a puff of smoke. The witch then makes it rain inside the store, and there's another confrontation after everyone runs outside. The witch threatens to turn David into a basketball and turn Big Bird into a feather duster. But Big Bird stands up to her and she disappears again. Her next trick is disguising herself as an elderly woman, but David sees through it and once again says he will only return it if she asks for it nicely. So she does, with extreme difficulty that is really fun to watch, and then transforms back into a witch. But she drops the broom again while she flies away, and David catches it and says, quote, "I can't go through this again." What did the viewers say? Digital copies of more than 100 angry letters from parents are now available for viewing on the Muppet Wiki. One couple wrote, "Our 4-year-old was frightened by the witch and ran crying from the room." A concerned mother from Plymouth reported that her 3-year-old son was pale as a ghost, and so worried about Big Bird that he had trouble falling asleep ever since. Numerous parents objected to the inclusion of witchcraft and occult figures on the show, and some even complained about the count. 3.5-year-old Hillary wrote, quote, "I do not like that witch to be on Sesame Street. Please don't have it there anymore. I am scared of it." Little young Rebecca said, quote, "I have been dreaming that witch dream again and again and again and again, so much that I have been getting so tired of it that I can't think of anything else to dream about." Sesame Workshop responded by holding test screenings of episode 847 with 26 children at 4 different daycare centers. Researcher Anna Herrera reported that children were exceptionally attentive during the Margaret Hamilton segments, and those who watched the episode in color were fascinated by her green face. Herrera released a memo to the producers that said, quote, "Due to the parents' reactions, the contents of their letters, and our impressions from group observation data, we suggest that the Margaret Hamilton show not be rerun." Snuffy's parents get a divorce.
Hi, Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Hello, Bird.
Mr. Snuffleupagus was Big Bird's best friend and closest confidant, but he always disappeared when a human showed up. Big Bird started getting in trouble for blaming Snuffy whenever something went wrong, and it seemed like a harmless gag for 17 seasons. But when stories about child mistreatment started hitting the news in the 1980s, producers were afraid that children might not report abuse because they wouldn't expect any adults to believe them. So in 1985, the adults finally began seeing Mr. Snuffleupagus and apologized to Big Bird for not believing him. In the early 1990s, Sesame Workshop produced Snuffy's Parents Get a Divorce, but decided not to air the episode because a test audience got confused and hated it more than nap time. Many children believed that divorce was inevitable when their parents argued, and that Snuffy and Alice's parents didn't love them anymore. Their father had also never appeared on the show before, and many of the children believed he would go away forever after the divorce. Sesame Street did finally tackle divorce in 2012 in Little Children Big Challenges DVD series, which was actually made available to military families and used in family courts and counseling services. Good things come to those who wait. Episode 847 was the holy grail for diehard fans, and their patience was rewarded in 2019 when segments were screened at a Lost and Found event in New York to celebrate Sesame Street's 50th anniversary. The episode was also archived in the Library of Congress, but viewing it would require traveling to Washington, D.C. and making an appointment to view it on site. However, everything changed in 2022 when an anonymous user posted a studio-quality copy of the episode on Reddit. And of course, it went viral in just a few days. Sesame Street is currently viewed by over 120 million children in more than 140 countries. And there are also at least 20 independently produced co-productions, featuring more regionally specific characters. In 2002, South African and Nigerian children were introduced to Kami, an HIV-positive character, and in 2012, children in the Middle East were introduced to Mabaub, an Arab-Israeli puppet who speaks both Hebrew and Arabic. As of 2022, Sesame Street has won 222 Emmys and 11 Grammys, of course more than any other children's show. So now we need to hear from you. Did you watch the banned episode when it originally aired? Do you think Sesame Street is healthy for young kids? Get in the comments and tell us all things Sesame Street. If you enjoyed today's deep dive, please give it a thumbs up, it really helps. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode. And from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you very much for watching.